Loaded Miami Dolphins rumors surrounding the NFL draft because Barry Jackson reported that the Dolphins met with quarterback Quinn Ewers and had a dinner with the Texas Longhorn. Plus, NFL draft trade rumors on Jaelan Phillips. Could Miami trade the former first-round pick for NFL draft capital? We're going to start with Quinn Ewers. This is Nic Rohloff of Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, because Barry Jackson recently had a report that the Dolphins have been spending time with a lot of NFL draft quarterbacks, including a dinner with Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers. And I'll tell you what, this does not surprise me one bit. Ewers is someone that has been linked to the Dolphins all the way back during the season. We actually did a full video on Ewers as a Dolphins draft candidate back on January 15th. This was the thumbnail. So this is a player that I have expected the Dolphins to show and register interest in due to the traits that he has, the offense that he played at in Texas with Steve Sarkisian that replicates a lot of the things Miami Dolphins do in terms of motion, RPO, get the ball out of his hands quickly. So to me, this is not a shock. This is a good fit for the Dolphins, and I could see Miami continuing to have a kind of idea of taking him in the middle rounds of the NFL draft. We're going to continue to talk about Ewers and break him down as a prospect, but make sure you are following us over on Instagram at Dolphins Today. IG is the handle. We have currently 794 followers. We're 6 away from 800. Go give us a follow. We put out daily content in between our Dolphins YouTube videos. Get us to 800 on today's show. Listen, we've talked about this topic a lot in the offseason. I am all in on the Miami Dolphins drafting a developmental quarterback on day 3 of the NFL draft. I will be willing to do it early as well. Remember, the Miami Dolphins have 2 fourth-round picks and they have 2 fifth-round picks. It would not shock me whatsoever if the Dolphins use one of those 4 selections to take a quarterback. Now, they could wait till take one in the 7th round where they have 3 picks as well, or maybe just go with an undrafted free agent as a developmental third guy behind Tua and Zach Wilson. But I do expect Miami to go after some of the top quarterbacks in the NFL draft, at least in the middle rounds. And who could you see the Dolphins go after? Well, I put together a little list of 6 guys that I expect to be there on day 3. Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord, Curtis Rourke, Riley Leonard, and Brady Cook. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if some of these guys ultimately went late day 2 in the middle to late 3rd round, but in my opinion, I think it's more likely than not that they are ultimately here when the Dolphins are picking in the 4th and 5th round. So when we focus on Quinn Ewers and talk about him as a prospect, I'll be honest, it was a little bit disappointing to see him this past season at Texas because he didn't take the step forward that a lot of people were hoping him to take. Like, he had a very solid season in 2023, having 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 69% completion percentage. He could have came out of the NFL draft and even potentially been a day 2 pick last year. But when people thought he was going to come back this season, there was an expectation where we're talking about someone who, if he makes the right improvements, could be a first-round player and someone even in the top 15 of the NFL draft. Sadly, he did not take a step forward. He actually plateaued. His interceptions took a step up. His completion percentage went down. Touchdowns and yards stayed about the same, but his yards per attempt went down. He missed a couple of games due to injury as well, which is a serious concern with Ewers as a prospect as well. This was someone who did not take the step up from 23 to 24 that was expected, and it was a little bit of a disappointment. Before we talk more as Ewers as a prospect, let me know, are you interested in drafting the Texas quarterback? Let me know down in the comment section. Type Y for yes or type N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show. And I do have a little bit of an intrigue. I'll be honest. There's a lot to like with Quinn Ewers. The positives with him is that he excels in an RPO scheme and he gets the ball out of his hands quickly. When you looked at his raw statistics from a year ago in analytics, he had one of the quickest time to throw in college football. He got the ball out of his hands very quickly due to that quick screen. But they also had a lot of screens for that Texas offense. He was one of the top 15 quarterbacks in college football last season in terms of yards after the catch and in the screen game. So they did not trust him a ton in terms of dropping back, reading the defenses, and throwing the ball down the football field. There was a lot of quick throws over the middle, quick bubble screens, pop passes, the whole 9 yards. Now, another positive with Ewers is that he does have a serious arm. He has an unbelievable cannon. He can throw it deep down the field. He can absolutely throw a beamer, 95-mile-per-hour fastball over the middle of the field as well. So there are things to like about Quinn Ewers. Now, I don't want to act like he's a perfect prospect, and boy, he is not even close to that. The negatives with Ewers: he has very sloppy footwork, and the footwork concerns ultimately leads him to overthrow. There's a couple throws that he made last season that you just watch him on tape and you're like, Quinn, what are we doing here? You have a guy wide open 20 yards over the middle of the field on an in route and you overthrew him by 10 yards and it got intercepted. Like, where does that come from? He does not have good pocket awareness. He holds on the ball too long. As you saw against Ohio State last season in the biggest play of the game, he sat in the pocket too long. Jack Sawyer came and ripped him. And you just saw that time after time this past season for the Longhorns. And the durability is a concern as well. In the past 2 seasons, he has missed a lot of time due to injuries, which is something that I am very concerned about, considering he is a quarterback that might get playing time due to the fact that your starting quarterback, Tua, also deals with the same type of durability concerns. But with the durability, I do understand that it might not matter if he's just a guy developing as your third QB. Now, with all of this being said, I do understand the fit. As I mentioned, Steve Sarkisian ran a similar offense to the Miami Dolphins, and I believe Mike McDaniel is a great teacher, a great developmental guy, and a mentor to young quarterbacks. We saw Tua take a massive step up when Mike McDaniel joined this organization. They also have a ton of experience on that coaching staff with Bobby Slowick, Darrell Bevel, Frank Smith. So you saw all these coaches be able to help Tua. I think they would be able to help Quinn Ewers. And with the motions and the quick throws over the middle of the field, that's something that the Dolphins predicate their offense on. So I understand why there could be a good marriage between Miami and Quinn Ewers. Now, with the intriguing thing of Ewers is that, like most quarterbacks, he struggles while under pressure, but his differences are a massive, massive difference. And we know the Dolphins' offensive line isn't perfect. Well, when Ewers was kept clean last season for the Longhorns, he was awesome. 70% completion percentage with an adjusted completion percentage of 76.9, had an unbelievably good QB rating of 111.4, and didn't turn the ball over a lot. 3.4 turnover-worthy play percentage. Now, under pressure, whether it's from blitzes or his offensive line failing him, it took a massive drop off. You see the completion percentage. Now, the adjusted completion percentage didn't fall off that much, but the turnover-worthy play percentage take a 2% jump up. The QB rating almost gets cut in half. So he is a quarterback that struggles under pressure, like most young players do, but his differences in terms of being kept clean to being under pressure is just so stark, and it's a concern of mine from him. But make sure you are subscribed, because daily Dolphins draft content here on the channel. We have 68,340 subscribers. We're trying to get to 69,000 before the NFL draft. Subscribe today, as we will have the best coverage on YouTube surrounding the Miami Dolphins leading up to that late April 2025 NFL draft. All right, that's going to do it for our Quinn Ewers part of the show. And now we're going to transition over to Jaelan Phillips, because could the Dolphins trade Phillips potentially during the NFL draft to get more draft capital? Where ESPN put out an article of mock trades in the first round and beyond, and the ESPN trade idea featured Jaelan Phillips heading to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the intriguing part about this trade idea is that it also is packaged with the Dolphins' 13th overall selection. And what did the Dolphins get back? Yeah, they only got back a 4th-round pick, 113th overall, and moving up 2 spots in the draft, picking up picking number 11. And this kind of raised my eyebrows. And before I give you my thoughts, I want to give ESPN a chance to explain themselves. Bill Barnwell of ESPN said that with Chop Robinson's emergence and the return of Bradley Chubb from multiple tears in his right knee, Phillips' role in Miami likely is more as a rotational player. Phillips will make $13.2 million in 2025 as a part of his 5th-year option, and it's tough to see the Dolphins making a significant commitment to him given his injury history and their commitments elsewhere at the position. So when you think about this trade, the Dolphins aren't getting a ton back for Phillips. Yeah, they get a 4th-round pick as well as moving up in 2 spots, but when you look at the trade value, this ultimately labels Jaelan Phillips' trade value as the 91st overall selection, which is a 3rd-round pick, That's only 7 spots ahead of what the Dolphins have in terms of their third-round comp pick at number 98 overall. So according to ESPN, there is not that much trade value for Jaelan Phillips. In fact, it only being a late third-round pick, which doesn't surprise me given his injury history, but this is a very productive player we're talking about when he's able to stay healthy. He just hasn't been able to do it. All right, my thoughts coming up in just a second. But make sure you do get your Dolphins draft hats. Currently on sale at chatsports.com/Dolphins draft hats. You can get curved brim, flat brim, cream color, black color, the one with the icon palm tree. Either way, whoever the Dolphins pick in the first round will be wearing this hat as they cross the stage and shake Roger Goodell's hand. Get yours today. One more time, link is in the description and comments of today's video. Dolphins draft hats at chatsports.com/Dolphins draft hats. All right, as we get towards Jaelan Phillips some more here, this is the story of his career. Career stats are good. As a rookie at 8.5 sacks. Came back the next year, 7 sacks. A little bit of a disappointment. Then in his third season, 2023, he was on track to have his first double-digit season before he tore his Achilles. And it was a devastating blow to him as he had to miss half of the season, but did return in 2024 for the first game of the season in a limited role, but then tore his ACL on Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, and he only logged 4 games this past season. So he has had an extensive injury history. As once a promising player, has dealt with 2 major lower body injuries in the knee and the Achilles. So you wonder what his role is with the Miami Dolphins in the future. Now, the Dolphins drafted Chop Robinson last year, 21st overall, and he was a rookie phenom leading the way for the Dolphins last season. You still have Bradley Chubb. You re-signed Quentin Bell. You drafted Mohamed Kamara in the 5th round last year as well. So you can make the argument that one of Jaelan Phillips or Bradley Chubb is expendable. Now, in a perfect world, you would ideally hope to have all 3 of those guys in Chop, Chubb, and Jaelan and have them work in rotation this season and be a dominant trio and a force as a group. But the question is, do the Dolphins see a future with Jaelan Phillips because he is going to be a free agent after the season? And if they don't see a future, could they deal him now to potentially get draft capital, whether it be 1 pick or moving up in the NFL draft like ESPN's projected trade? So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Going back and revisiting this trade, I'm going to give you my thoughts in a second. But I want to know, would you do this trade where the Dolphins move up 2 spots from 13 to 11 in the first round, but also get a 4th round pick in return for Jaelan Phillips? Go down in the comment section and let me know, A for accept or D for decline. I'm typing my D's for decline. I'm just simply not doing it. And there's a lot of reasons why I could go about not doing this. But to me, one of the main reasons is I don't see the point. Like, Jaelan Phillips, yes, he's had 2 big-time injuries of the Achilles and the ACL over the past 2 seasons, only playing in 12 total games out of the possible 34. But this is a player that looked terrific in 2023 before the Achilles injury, was very good in his first 2 seasons as well. I just don't see the need to give up on Jaelan Phillips at this point in his career. And I get it. He's got a $13 million cap hit this year because he's on that 5th-year rookie option. And you might lose him for nothing if you just let him go to free agency next year. But to me, this is a homegrown player. He played at Miami University. He wants to be a Dolphin. Let him try to come back and prove himself. Because if he plays 14-plus games this upcoming season, has a solid year where he has 6.5, 7 sacks, you could re-sign him to a multi-year contract on a relatively cheap price point. Because there is going to be that injury concern. And he's not going to get $25+ million in free agency if he has a good season this next year. So to me, with this homegrown talent, Bradley Chubb's last year likely being this one, there is no future at edge besides Chop Robinson. So why not roll with Jaelan Phillips 1 year? If it works out, you extend him in the middle of the season or before the free agency period opens next year. And if it doesn't work out, then you can wipe your hands clean. But to me, I'm not trading him just to move up 2 spots in the draft and acquire a 4th round pick, which is the equivalent of the 91st overall selection. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm holding on to Jaelan Phillips. But make sure you are subscribed because we will continue to have you covered on all Miami Dolphins draft news, rumors, and everything in between. Hit that sub button because we'll be the top spot for you regarding the Dolphins.